Teamster Power 767 Reality Check with Jeff Schenfeld and Garfield Hooper.
All right. Well, pleasantries aside, let's get into it. Let's get right down to it. Today we're going to talk about leadership.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our episode last week with Richard really got me thinking about leadership and what it means to be a leader in life, not just in the Teamsters and in your local.
Absolutely.
A lot of things that Richard said, like I resonated with him, and a lot of his just attitude in general. Because we talked a little bit longer than obviously what was recorded, but it's nice to see a humble leader every now and then. That knows that he has things to work on, that knows that everything the IBT does is not perfect, and that we can move forward and question and make those things. I've recently had a conversation with one of my best friends. He actually got to be the job at UPS years ago. It's weird. It came to me one day. I had a couple of people come to me with issues and talk to me, not necessarily about work, but it's weird being a leader sometimes. Like that's just a weird feeling that because I don't have any authority. I'm a steward. I'm a representative. I can't tell. I can't fix a problem with the company. I can't even fix a problem with our own local or the IBT. I'm just a representative in our building. But we've got 5 other stewards. I'm the leader. I'm the leader of our stewards. I'm a leader in the building. And it's a weird feeling sometimes to have people that, have more experience with the job. People that have done this job longer than I have and coming to me with issues. And, I've never steered away from that. Like I've never told somebody that, that I felt like I could help. I've never steered them in a different direction. I've always, it was natural for me. It was something that, I learned at a young age. But, this is the important thing that I'm trying to get across at is you may not look at yourself as a leader. You're listening to this podcast and you want to become more informed. You want to learn more about the contract and be in that position to answer questions and help out your peers. Like being a leader is learned. And being a good leader, more importantly, being a good leader is learned. Like there's obviously ways to learn to be a bad leader as well, which I'm sure anybody that's spent any time for this company knows that the company tends to promote bad leaders. Everything's somebody else's fault. There's an excuse for everything. I wanted to do a podcast on leadership because it can be a struggle for some people to put yourself out there. And Jeff, what's been some of your experiences as a leader with Teamsters in your buildings?
Well, I think that you listen and the first thing is you want to help people, right? Yeah. I don't like bullies. Okay. And, I don't want to allow bullies to think they could do whatever they want, So, what things you have to do is, like for us specifically, okay, we don't want the company bullying us. Okay. That's not going to happen with me. We learn the contract, right? And, but what do we always say? We strong people help themselves, but the strongest people help others, right? Basically, you want to be able to not just help yourself, but help others. That's the thing. You want to take people to like a shared goal. Like but the important thing is you got to spend the time.
Yeah.
Right? You can't just blow people off and be like, oh, whatever. You got to take the time. And it's important to just do it. Don't think about it, right? And that's what happens. When someone comes to me, I take each person that comes to me with issues or whatever it is, I take each one seriously. Because how you respond to people is how they might respond to other people, how they pass it along. So you always got to do the right thing. And again, if you don't know something, you say, I'm going to find out, right?
Yeah.
You know, that's important. Don't just give bad answers. I'll get, calls, emails from people across the country, and I appreciate that. You know, I do, and I appreciate helping them. You have to want to help, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not wanting to help with all the knowledge someone may have, if you're not willing to help, then what good is it?
Yeah.
Right? And I don't think we have enough of that.
Yeah.
I was talking to someone recently, and I think we both agreed on something. It's years ago. No, we wonder why, like, some stewards, like, we noticed that a lot of the stewards don't have the training, right?
Yeah.
Well, years ago, I think that we had a lot more old timers who knew what they were doing, who were willing to take the time to teach us, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, that helped. And then they put you, they're willing to take the time and, hey, look at this situation, and keep doing that. I don't know if there's enough of that going around, but times have changed also. Like with the company, they're finding new ways to come at us, right? We got to adapt to that.
Yeah.
And it's not just, people who've been around teaching you and learning the contract. It's actual education. You know what I'm saying? You actually have to do things educating people constantly. It's not just the way it used to be. Times have changed.
And
So,
and I think it's important too to come across as, being a leader. Like, it's not just about the company and the Teamsters. Like, you're a
Yeah.
leader in your building. These people are your colleagues, they're your friends, they're your peers. They're people that look up to me. Like, I have a problem
life.
I have a problem in my centers. Like, a lot of the young drivers that are coming up will call me sir. I'm like, don't call me sir.
man, I get that. I appreciate
It's
it.
like, I appreciate it. I know you're doing it out of respect, but like,
Yeah.
I work for a living. I do the exact same job you do. Like, call me Hooper. That's what everybody in the center calls me. They call me by my last name. It's what almost everybody goes by in our center. It's
Yeah.
like, just it's like I'm no different than you. Like, I was in your shoes. It may have been a dozen or more years ago, but like,
Yeah.
we're fighting the same fight. I think one of the most important things is that, because I've helped people through divorces. I've helped people through,
Oh, yeah.
deaths in the family, sicknesses, things like that.
Yeah.
You get that phone call and, you answer it, day or night. Like, this is something I have to really push into the stewards that come after me is like, this isn't a job you clock out of.
No.
You don't punch out when you go home. This is not a you punch out and go home job. This is a, you have your phone on and, somebody calls you needing something, Saturdays, Sundays, vacations sometimes. Like, it's,
Yeah.
and it's important that, you're able to do that and answer the questions. Like, you can obviously spend your time with your family, do the things that you want to do, but
Yeah.
But being a steward, that's part of it, and you have to know that going into it. Being a leader is part of it. And I think
Yeah.
one of the more important things too about being a leader is courage. Mm-hmm. Like, the courage to, like, being a steward is a job that you put yourself out there. You put the target on your back more than anybody else because you're the one standing up to the company. The company would love to get rid of a good steward. At any time they get the opportunity, I'm sure they jump at the chance. But as a leader, you've got to have that courage to straighten up, speak truth to power, but also have the courage to have those hard conversations with a member when they screwed up. The number of times I've called a caucus and pulled during a hearing and pulled somebody out and immediately said to them, what in the fuck were you thinking? You're not always going to be the good guy. Like,
No.
sometimes when they screw up, you got to let them know because that's the only way they're going to fix it. And
Yeah.
you've got to have the courage to not only talk to the managers and stand up for the contract and stand up for the members, but you've got to have the courage to be the bad guy too on occasion and be like, hey, look, this is a habit that you have to break because it's only a matter of time before they get something that sticks to you. So you've got to fix this.
Oh yeah. I mean that's man, I couldn't care less about it. I mean, someone's not going to like me because I'm telling them the truth.
Yeah.
Well, that's not really my problem. You know what I'm saying? It's their problem. And if you let things go and you're not honest with people, their situation's going to get worse because you're not being honest.
Yeah.
But
100%.
I have to say also, not only stewards, they're members can be leaders, right?
Yeah,
And
100%.
they may turn into stewards, they may not. They may not decide not to, but they could still be leaders and, helping other members and things like that,
Yeah,
right? And
100%.
it's important that we want as many leaders as possible. And that's how we do it. And what people see is when you're standing up and doing the right thing, people say, wait a minute, he's doing it. Okay, I'm going to stand up, and then I'm going to stand up, and people follow that.
Yeah.
They do. People attract to that. They want to, okay, how do we do this? Look, he's standing up. Wait a minute. I want to back him up. I want to be like that. And then, like I said, it's important how you help people because it's you tell them, the right things, you tell them the honest things, and they can pass that along to other people. But
Lead by example.
always, I mean, that's very simple.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and important, especially being a leader. Like, here's an example. Like, like you said outside family, this, you help people, right? You lead them, to help them out. Maybe you've been through a situation, right? Death in the family, you can handle it better by helping someone, right?
Yeah.
Because maybe you've been through it. So, but, like when it comes to work, like, and this could be a life or death situation, the heat out there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be honest with people. How many times you tell people, hey, stop running, take your lunch, stop trying to run through it. And then there comes a time where they fall out, right?
Yeah.
Because of the heat. And, you were right. Well, I didn't want to be right. I'm trying to tell you
Yeah.
before you come to me and say, hey, you're right. I went through this situation. I don't want you to go through that situation. We want you to,
Yeah.
and there are some times where you can't help it, but if you can help it as much as you can, help it because, ultimately, as we've seen death.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, 100%. And this is something that because people will call me when they're struggling. They'll call me before they call the center managers or the supervisors, and I'll be like, look, I'm not you. If you feel like you calling me is like your first step, if you're already feeling like you're struggling and you can't do it and you're calling me, then you need to call it. You have to make the call of how you feel because like I'm not in your shoes. The managers aren't. If you feel like you can't safely continue to drive this vehicle, not only for yourself but the public, then you have to make that call to, hey, y'all need to come pick me up. Y'all need, I need to call an ambulance, whatever. Like I can't stress that enough. If call your stewards or whatever for advice, but if you're already at that point to where you're like, I need help, I need to call somebody. And, the steward probably needs to just tell you to just hang up the phone and call 911 or hang up the phone and call a supervisor and have them come pick you up or whatever. Because if you feel that strongly about it, that you're calling one of us, then you just need to go ahead and make that call. Because if you push it too far, you're going to end up in the hospital or worse.
Yeah. And, one of the reasons why they'll call you is because they're afraid of management, right?
Yeah.
And this shouldn't be something you're afraid of management. And, anyone who comes to myself, yourself, like with the heat, you don't tell them what to do. If you're feeling a certain way, then you do what you have to do. If that means calling 911, that means calling 911. It means to go to your cool zone, go to a cool zone. Whatever you feel you need. I mean, you have to know, you got to look for the signs. That's, when we're always putting out stuff, if you're not sweating anymore, man, you're already in trouble. Like that, it's if you're thirsty, right? Okay, you're way beyond. You probably didn't hydrate enough the night before, right? Just things like that. And what is that? That's from years of experience, right? I mean, that's years of. I mean, I went through a heat issue once, and I drink tons and tons of water. like I drink water. I try to get as many electrolytes as I can. Sometimes it just hits you.
Yep.
Whatever the case, you don't take a chance. You understand. Listen to your body.
Yeah, listen to your body, and by all means, do call your stewards. Let them know what's going on.
Yeah,
like I tell my guys, if there's an accident or an injury, your phone, one of your quickest phone calls needs to be to a representative, steward, BA, whatever. So
it's so another situation. If let's say you swipe something while you're driving, right? You hit something, right?
Yeah.
And you get a call from a driver. You need to report this ASAP.
ASAP.
You,
Yeah.
you don't hide that stuff.
No.
They find out, you're done.
Yep.
You're done. Okay? Because you don't know who's watching. You don't know who's out there watching.
There's
you know?
cameras
It's-
everywhere.
Yeah, and or if you're working inside the building, you're a part timer and you get hurt. Okay, if you're hurt, you're hurt. You know how many times that they'll say, "Well, take a day or two," and I mean, you don't know what's going to happen down the road.
Yeah.
I mean, management, they're not doctors,
Yeah.
right? So if you had an injury at work or you got hurt at work, you file the report. Doesn't mean you're necessarily going to need anything, but you have it there just in case. I mean, let's say you're just starting your career and you want to be there for 20 years, and that injury that you didn't report becomes a problem,
Yeah.
right? What do you do then? So and leaders need to be honest with you, tell you the truth about all those things, right?
Yeah.
Because you've seen the situations, you've been through the situations, or whatever the case may be. That's how you help people, and you do it, without even hesitating, right?
And when it comes down to it, and Jeff and I have talked about this a few times, like a good leader looks for their replacement. I want
Absolutely.
somebody better than me to take my spot.
Absolutely.
When I retire or whatever, I want somebody that's going to do better than me to take that position.
Oh,
and-
we talked about that a lot.
Yeah,
right?
and I feel like that's too much of a problem in the IBT. And Richard hit on a little bit on this last week. Is that too many of them are more worried about keeping what they've got as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to being better and raising up better Teamsters
Yep.
for the future.
and we're at where we're at because of that, right?
Yeah,
And we're just saying that as a fact. It's not anything more than it's a fact. It's what we're going through,
Yeah.
and members need their leadership more than ever now with what's going on.
yeah,
And and by us saying things like that, if that pushes to leaders to be better, then
that's
so
the whole
be it.
point.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
That's it. It's that's really ultimately what has to be behind it. Hey, we want to try to make them better. I mean, if they're not getting better, that's a different problem. But you're being honest and you're saying this is what's going on, right?
Yeah,
So, I mean, it takes. I mean, there are people who might not know their leaders, but a certain situation might bring it out, and they're like, "Wait a minute, maybe I can do this,"
Yeah.
right? But the important thing is you have to encourage it. As a leader, you have to encourage those people who might be on the cusp of being that leader, right? You gotta really try to help them become the best leader that they can.
Yes.
And again, it's important. I just want to say, what steward or no steward, whatever it is, a leader is a leader is a leader, and you want to groom the best leaders, and whatever happens, whatever path they take from that, that's something else. But we want to make people better. I don't, like I said, how much we talked about
yeah,
our replacements, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's God. Let's have the
yeah.
let's the next generation try to be better, right? Let's teach them and whatever comes from it.
Yeah,
So
100%.
that's good. So for myself and Garfield, have a good day.
We all deal with national language, but on this podcast, when it comes to supplemental language, we deal mostly with the southern region. And as always, it's best to get advice from your local stewards or business agents. If you would like to reach out to us with any questions, we have an email address, 767realitycheck@gmail.com. That's 767realitycheck@gmail.com.
And remember, strong people stand up for themselves, but the strongest people stand up for others.